Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from the Accelerator building in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. And tonight we're here with members of Riot Squad Media, who are organizing Camp Punksylvania, as well as members of New Jersey ska punk band Fat Chance. We're going to talk about this new event coming to the Circle Drive-In in Dickson City on September 9th through the 11th. The female-empowered DIY punk rock collective and media firm behind it, what it takes to organize a music festival, punk music throughout the tri-state area and beyond, and much, much more. So please stay tuned for the full hour. We would love to hear from you guys. Anything that you want to add to the conversation, leave those down below. We're doing something a little different. Usually we're here on Wednesday nights, but they just happen to be in town to do some of the pre-planning for this big event. So we wanted to have them in the studio and give you guys a chance to get a little bit of a preview of what's going to be happening up there and, ask any questions or anything that you might have because you should be getting your tickets as soon as possible. This thing is going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to learning more about it too. Before we dive in, I just want to thank our sponsor, Special Guest, who has provided us with this great office space, equipment, and funds to make this podcast and our website possible. Special Guest is a talent booking app that makes it easier for musicians, rock bands, comedians, drag queens, celebrity impersonators, and more to get discovered and booked. Special Guest was founded in 2017 by actor-comedian Damon Wayans Jr., alongside local entrepreneur Chris Jones. Check them out at specialguestapp.com or download their app on iTunes or Google Play. And stay tuned for several exciting announcements coming up. You saw one of those the other day in our last show about their merch booth program. That's going to be huge for local bands as well as bands all over. So check out merchbooth.com and you can learn about that, how you can get your own merch store for your band. And Parlor Beverages has also provided us with the best fucking root beer out there. They have root beer, birch beer, and butterscotch, which I think you've all already been trying.
Yes. It's delicious.
What's the verdict?
Yeah, they fucking
awesome.
Nailed it. I got the root beer and it's really, really good. How's your butterscotch?
Strange.
Ooh.
I've never drank butterscotch like this before, but I'm never going back.
Ooh, see?
There you go. So if you would like to get yours, you can go to drinkparlor.com, use promo code NEPA Scene for 10% off. And you can also find them locally at Garrity's, the V-Spot, who we're going to be talking about, does carry it. So there are other places you can get it, but you can always order it online anytime. All right, so let's jump into kind of some background on you guys. How did you first discover punk music?
years ago.
Yeah.
I grew up in Northern Ontario, so there's not much of a scene anywhere. Yeah, near the Arctic Circle, actually. So we were a little teeny tiny group of little mini punks, and it's always the big ones. I discovered Bad Religion first, and it kind of just exploded and opened everything. And then you followed up with NoFX, Lagwagon, all those bands starting out. And then just kind of got in further and deeper, and that just kind of exploded. And it's something that hooked me in and just never let me go. And I'm still doing it.
For me, I grew up in a kitchen. My father owned a pizzeria my whole life. So I just remember being 7 or 8 years old, running in the back, folding pizza boxes, trying to kill time. And I stole a bunch of CDs out of the binder. They used to have the stereo back there. After I heard Agent Orange for the first time. So I was like, I don't know what this is, but it makes me so stoked. So I took it and I took a bunch of other ones and I ended up getting into that really hard. I got into Ribbed by NoFX really heavily. And again, it just kind of spiraled from there. And here we are now. How about you?
My story's a little less glorious.
Glorious.
One of the first bands I ever listened to was AC/DC, and I was like, I'm gonna rock forever. And then after I kind of grew out of that, somebody got me a Dookie poster for my 8th or 9th birthday, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is cool. And then Green Day and fucking Real Big Fish and shit. And the rest is history.
Oh, I don't know how it started. Mine started with ska, and then through hanging out in the ska community, I learned about punk. But I think it's like a stupid story. Like a friend of mine put "Science of Selling Yourself Short" as their profile song on MySpace. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is
Yes.
super cool. And then I just kind of ventured into the internet worlds of
Just kept digging. Yeah.
yeah.
I've been like back in like those like, I can't Napster days.
Yeah, like LimeWire.
Frostwire.
Yeah.
All the downloadables.
You know what I should have done is I should have started off with you introducing yourselves. And-
Oh yeah.
So
Hey everybody.
We should do that. I just kind of went with the more generic opening, so you guys could do that, and then I jumped right into the questions prematurely. But by all means,
Yeah, I'm Terry. I'm a Gemini. I like long walks at the beach.
there we go. Now we're getting into the meat of it.
Yeah, I'm camp director for Camp Punksylvania and the stage manager. I'm also, I guess, like co-head bitch at Riot Squad Media.
Yeah. Takes two.
Takes two.
And I am Laura, also with Camp Punksylvania and Riot Squad Media. I'm the director of operations and public relations. And it's the two of us and a really wonderful team that fuels this wild operation that we have going on.
This is also my other co-head bitch of Riot Squad
Yes.
Media.
Co-head bitches.
Together you are head
We
bitch.
are head bitch. Who are
That's
you?
Kyle.
Oh, I'm Kyle.
I'm Ferris. I play guitar.
I play drums.
We play music.
In a band called Fat Chance.
Thank you.
Check that. Or no.
All right, so we know where you found punk music. What is it about punk that has kind of stuck with you all these years?
Oh, for me, it's almost like a spiritual connection with it. Like, I'm not religious, but I can see how people, in a way, kind of are. That's how punk talks to me. It just, I always talk about punk as like music you can feel. Other styles will kind of touch that a little bit, but nothing like punk. Like I just get like a really nice, hard, like drum roll or like just a certain type of melody. And the beautiful thing about punk is that it's just not perfect. And, maybe I kind of see myself as not being perfect and I connect the two together. So yeah, I'm hooked.
For me, it's that community that sucks me in time and time again. Again, like there's no other feeling really like that. I come from an area that doesn't really have a huge scene in itself. So to be able to dive right into something with so many like-minded people from all over the place and always feel like I'm home is really important to me. So that's always what keeps me coming back and why I love it so much is the way it's my chosen family. It's the way that I feel about
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
I just like that. Yeah. Just extending on what you're saying. Essentially, wherever you go, like, even if the music's like fucking terrible, it's like, it's still the same sentiment and everybody's so there for it and it's genuine.
Absolutely.
Like, even if, it's whatever kind of music, it's just like, I'm here to be here. And it's not like fake, ideally.
It's very raw and real.
Rugged and raw. I repeat, when I die, my seed will be ill like me.
I'd have to say community too. I think that's like what draws most people to it is just punk doesn't have as much separation as a lot of other genres.
Mm-hmm.
So like even when we played, when we were on tour and we played anywhere else in the country, everybody else, like there was no bullshit. Everybody else was there to hang out with you and just have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Even any other bands, it's all the same.
Yeah, you go to a show and you just never feel alone. Like you could be the most loneliest person in the world and you throw yourself into a pit of people who are singing and fucking doing that with you, that power, man. It's
And they're gonna treat you like they've known you your whole life.
Exactly.
What are some of your favorite punk bands, either local
Oh.
to you? Or
Just talking
How much
wrong
time we
way.
got?
Yeah, for me, Bad Religion has always been one. Descendants is another one that's always hooked me in. And there's so many. Suicide Machines, Make War is another one recently that I've been really just digging into, and that's the cool thing about punk is that they talk about such real shit. It's not, like fucking Barbie World or something like that. It's actually talking about stuff that I'm connecting with at that time. And I can always slam something in my player and just be like in tears. Yeah, and recently, a lot of tears.
I feel that.
Yeah.
For me, like big band wise, Descendants will always be my absolute number one. Like they're to me that gateway. You know, I've gotten into so many different like subgenres of punk because of that band, and I will always be forever grateful for them, and always best show I've ever seen. Every time I go, it gets better and better. I don't know how they do it, but they are flawless. But like lately, a lot too, the last couple years, I've just been diving so deep into these like smaller bands. And I'm not saying that because they're right next to me, but like I fucking love Fat Chance, you guys. Like it's so crazy when you put on this music and you're like, oh my God, these people who are normal people just like me, but they have this crazy ability to make this beautiful work of art. I think that's awesome. And there's so many bands, you know,
so
on
many
that
bands.
smaller scale that are just out of this world. So
Absolutely.
and that's
There's
like
so many.
that's part of what camp really is too, is like if we can get you to come and see Guttermouth and the Casualties, but you end up falling in love with like Fat Chance or Froggy and
Dissidente.
yeah,
Holy
oh my
shit.
God, dude, don't even get me started on that band. They're so good. They are
It's gonna be
so good.
fucking crazy.
They're gonna blow up this year. I feel it. I
I
feel it in
know.
my loins,
Fucking-
you guys.
They like
Listen.
cook me in.
President.
President. Ugh, where to begin? I don't know, man. I like the stuff that sounds bad, but in like the most aggressive way. Like I really love and have always loved like Negative Approach, just like
Yeah.
you know, anything like that. 7 seconds, fucking
Oh, I love 7 seconds.
Yeah, man. They're playing with Bigwig too.
Reagan. Holy shit! No way.
Yeah. Canada, come visit.
That would be a good
I
show,
love
actually. That's
Canada.
cool.
Top 3, and I'm really happy Ferris didn't say this because I'm gonna steal it. Atrocity Solution,
Oh no.
probably where I'd want to take most inspiration from
Certainly.
is their music.
He's like,
And
"How
I'm
dare
gonna
you."
plug 4 quick bands: Upfucks,
Yeah.
So good.
Working Class Stiffs,
They're all right.
Wife Swamp, and Christ Chopper.
Yeah.
Solid. Fucking Wave Swamp.
Well, you know, and it's something I'm working on a little article about, but I think it's so, you know, to your point that it's such a like a you know, friendly, you know, tight knit sort of scene. What I don't understand is these people who will pay ridiculous amounts of money to see bands who are probably way past their prime
Oh yeah.
and see, you know, go to pay for these VIP experiences. And I totally get that musicians are not making the money that they used to on albums and that sort of thing. And you have to get it from somewhere and that sort of stuff. But one of the things I love about covering the local scene is that you can become friends with these people and have real connections, real relationships. So it's not like, oh, cool, I got rushed into a room and then we stood in front of a backdrop and we took a nice picture and then they said, get the hell out of here.
Yep.
We got to get to the next person. And it just feels so, you just feel like you were robbed. Like you just took a whole bunch of money from me just to do, hey, yeah, and that's it.
That's
You know,
exactly
like
what it is.
so you can get a bunch of likes on Facebook. Like what is that? You know,
It
that's
just
not
puts
a
you
real
on more
connection.
of like a human level with them as well too, and I think it takes like the respect and your appreciation for the music to a totally different level. You know, when you're like, these are genuinely good people who have this talent and they're doing great things with it, it just makes it even better.
It
Yeah,
really
like,
does.
Laura and I, that's how we met, you know, is going backstage VIP at a show. We didn't pay for it, thankfully.
Terry.
But, you know, we were gifted and by a
Yeah,
friend,
that's true.
but we got to do exactly that. We went backstage, we met the band 5 minutes, and it was like, get the fuck out of our back area. But what I take away from that is having Laura there, you know, like having somebody that fucking understands the love that we have for these bands and the appreciation. And I really don't remember much of the show, but man,
Yeah, I
whatever.
don't remember that, but I remember being back there with you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And it's not to say that I'm bashing the bands that are successful, that get to that level, and obviously they need to make money, and I totally understand that part of it. I'm talking about what I would prefer as a music goer. It just, to me, that stuff doesn't really do it for me anymore, and maybe at some point it did, but not really now. You know, I'd rather go to a local show 90% of the time.
Absolutely. Even as
Yeah.
a kid, I went to like a Van Halen concert and like it was so enormous that it was just like I could have watched it on TV and been just as satisfied.
right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
I don't know. I go to shows one to like watch the humanity of the guitar like flub a little bit or the drummer miss some fucking notes and stuff. And then, go and talk to them afterwards. And they're just real people.
Well, that's the thing, is it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what we like about it, is, again, it puts you on that human level with them. So when you can spend 5 minutes to a half an hour going back and forth with somebody that you just watched up on stage and you've got their vinyl under your arm, like that's a sense of fulfillment almost, like to me at least. Like I take away so much more walking away from a show when things like that happen. Like Bad Religion, for example, I met Jay Bentley and like it was the coolest experience to me because he actually talked with me for probably 20 minutes on the side of the stage. Man was covered in sweat, but you could tell like he genuinely was glad that I was there with other people and that we were taking an interest in this music. And it's cool to see bands of that size still treating it that same way, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think that's like what separates punk from a lot of things too, is everybody, for the most part, is very down to earth on that level.
We've been really lucky.
Being very humble, you know?
We had camp last year, and man, like,
Yeah.
I want to say they were, I got to put the props out to Voodoo Glow Skulls because they were probably the most down to earth,
That was awesome.
nicest people ever.
Literally just hanging out like in the
They had so
pavilion.
much fun.
They did have a great time. And that's really what's cool too, is when you can see these dudes that are on Epitaph, like coming out and hanging out, like eating hot dogs with you guys.
Having hats fly
Yeah.
all over them and then just like not shitting on you for that. That was
Yeah, right, for real. Like how many people can say that they chase bats out of a cabin with Voodoo Glow Skulls?
Yeah, honestly.
Well, a lot of bands too, I feel like it gets, as they get bigger and bigger, it gets overproduced. There's so many lights and sounds and whatever. And I just feel like that distracts from like what I'm actually there for, like I connected to your music. I want to hear that. And a lot of that is like, well, we got to reach those people out on the lawn too. So, we better use vocal effects and other things to enhance people who maybe can't hit those notes anymore. We got backup singers and backing tracks and all that kind of stuff. And it just takes away from the whole thing,
With camp, we always, even last year and still again this year, even though people are going to be fucking loud this year, our focus has always been on the sound. We didn't care so much how camp looked. We just wanted it to sound good because our job really is to make any band that comes to camp sell themselves, right? Like, especially because we have such smaller bands that a lot of people, unfortunately, we're in an industry that they're going to come see the bigger bands. And we want to focus also on the big bands, but really put the highlight on these smaller bands because these smaller bands, a lot of this is young talent. These guys are going to be in the scene for the next 20, 25 years. Whereas like, unfortunately, a lot of these older bands are just unfortunate. They're getting older too,
Right.
So we've always, that was a big one for camp, was putting the focus so that those younger, smaller bands can see a fan base and grow. That's,
It's a great thing what, Warped Tour was all about. And now that's long
Yeah,
gone,
absolutely.
I've discovered so many bands that way.
Oh yeah. We've all been to Warped Tour, I'm sure. We've spent the money and got the sunburns. And
I got snubbed by Black Veil Brides.
Oh, what?
They were walking behind me or something. And I don't know. I remember I was like, holy shit. Like, I don't listen to them at all, but I like recognized them. And I was like, can I like get an autograph or something to sell on eBay? And they were like, no, you got to pay like everybody else.
Oh.
Literally charging people to look.
Man, that's crazy. See what I mean?
I
Like
digress.
that right there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So tell us about Riot Squad Media and how that got started.
What?
She always does this to me. She always does this to me.
And go.
So, Riot Squad has morphed and is still morphing into this whatever it is. Originally, there were 3 of us, and that's actually how camp happened. Backtrack to a couple years ago, we met each other and went to Camp Anarchy together, and the friendships that we made there were unlike anything else. People that are in our lives every day. And we wanted to see them again the year after, but there was no year after. So we're like, all right, well, screw it. We kind of tossed around an idea of like
A backyard party.
just a backyard party with a couple bands hanging out. We were talking about it on the internet, and we had a friend at the time who lived in
backyard?
Pennsylvania and had a big backyard, and we were just gonna do a little campfire there and have our friends play acoustic. And we woke up the next morning to like
Well, we had put them on like the private chat.
Oh yeah. We started like a private event page, and it just people were like inviting their friends. We woke up like the next day to like 200-300 people. They were like, "When's this happening? And how do we get tickets?" We were like, "Oh shit!" Like people, like other people want this too, and so do we. So we found a real venue, and then COVID hit, and everything under the sun that could have went wrong went wrong. We lost one of our partners along the way. We almost just 86 camp altogether because at that point, like no one knew what was going on or anything. So Riot Squad ended up being born in the meantime during the pandemic. And what we did, we just took a little time out of our day to talk to our band friends that we couldn't see and stuff. And we did a podcast that Terry still crushes all the time. We did Sunday Spin every week just to let people know what we're listening to, put new music out there. Because at the end of the day, like we're just a couple girls who like punk rock. Really, like neither one of us were booking agents or anything like that. So it was just like a kind of a side project to kind of kill some time. And we ended up going through with camp last year. We did it in Artemis, Pennsylvania, and it was a shit show, but it was a beautiful shit show.
It was beautiful.
It went off really great. We had about 300 campers, which for I think a year one festival is really, really cool.
Punk rock bowling, you know, it was like just
it started out as a baby too. So it was cool to see that, cool to have all those people want to come back for year two. And in the meantime, we've kind of turned into booking agents and band managers and things like that. And it's been really fun to just be able to help our friends out and also meet new people along the way and help them out too. So we've just been calling it Riot Squad Media. And what we do is anything that our friends need. Straight up, like all we do is make sure that our friends and bands are taken care of, whether it be booking a couple shows, planning a mini run, trying to push an EP out, logos, whatever. We're gonna try and do it. Again, we're just two girls that like music. So
the cool thing about Laura and I is the ability to be able to bounce shit off each other like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, man, I get stuck and be like, Laura, what are you thinking? And she's like, I'm like, all right, I can make this work, and vice versa. She's like, I'm stuck doing this.
It's really weird the way that it works, but I
Yeah.
think that's what makes it work so well. Is we're so different, but we're on the same wavelength a lot of the time too. And when we're not, it's really quick to bring each other kind of up to speed and where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And again, too, like we have the same love for this that it makes it so much easier to go in instead of looking at it as a business and what we have to do because this is what we need to do for our business. It's not the way that works because we're not making any money.
Yeah. This is passion.
Yeah,
purely
it's just a passion project.
You know, like if I tell people, man, if you want to make money, do not go into punk because you are not going to make
It's
it.
very true.
You can make that broader about the music industry. in
Yeah,
general.
probably.
I mean, that's definitely why we started a band, just to blow up and make money.
Right? It's the only way.
It's what you think of at the time.
Clearly. And then you guys, you showed up in your limousine and you had to push all those fans.
You
out
should
of
see
the
their
way.
rider.
It's like,
The pink stretch Escalade.
So give us a little background on Fat Chance, how you guys got together and what you've been up to.
I don't know, dude.
So I moved to Florida in 2010. I was all sad and stuff, and I was writing acoustic songs. That was cool, but not cool enough. So I moved back to my homeland of New Jersey, like 2014, 15, which is where I connected with Weston, our bassist, who is really the show.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Almost like spat out.
if you think, yeah, and yeah, we just started jamming, and he was like, "Yo, we should start a band." Then us and my neighbor, who I've also known since like second grade, started Fat Chance. We played a bunch of like youth centers and VFWs and stuff for a few years and just kept building. And yeah, exactly. Just creating the community. I'm agreeing with myself and you. Built the community, some things happened here and there. Got some new members. Got some new talents. We have an accordion player now. We have a saxophone player. It's crazy.
She's over there. You can't see her.
She's there.
Looking gorgeous as ever.
As always.
Well, Kyle, you're from around here, so how did you get involved with the band?
We woke up.
So-
Then what's in front of a band?
I think it started
I'm trying to think of the first.
before you were in the Serpents.
Yeah.
my band, the Squallers, played with the Serpents at a Days and Days show in Stroudsburg, and that's where I met Kyle White. And I remember him specifically. Like, I was just like, guys, I love you guys. We should play more shows. He goes, well, our singer's going to jail. So here's my new band. Right. And then I booked them on one show and instantly fell in love with the Upfucks. And I think it was like the second show we were going to do with them. I was just like, yeah, who should we play with, all that stuff. And he just kept talking about Fat Chance, like endlessly talking about him. And then it was the Boone Tunes New Jersey show, I think, was the first time we met.
I could totally see that.
And I saw them live, and they became my favorite band. Like, every single time I'd throw like a Keys show or anything that I could get my hands on down here, Fat Chance was on it. So then that's kind of how like the little family grew. Like the Squallers, Fat Chance, Upfucks just played with each other all the time. And then once it came out that they needed a drummer, I was like, yep, I'll drive.
Please take me.
Absolutely. Sign me up. And that's how that started.
We've been grinding ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there still seems to be, every time you see old school punk or ska come through the area at like the Jazz Cafe or something like that, of all places, Jazz Cafe. But those shows do really well, and they still have that audience, so it's great that you guys.
Yeah, we're playing there the 12th. Flatfoot 56.
I saw that. Yeah, that looks
super excited to play that room.
That's going to be a great show.
It's going to be awesome.
Stoked.
So
tell us about the first year of Camp Punksylvania and how that went.
All right.
Wow. Laura, take it away.
You all can talk about that.
So yeah, this is a group experience actually. It was a cult.
It was so good.
It was
I'm not kidding.
It was like what, 200, 300 acres or something?
It was huge.
That was owned by a cult.
Yes.
That was owned like legitimately.
So okay, all right. It was a beautiful property. It really was hands down one of the most gorgeous places I've seen in a while. It was a great venue. It just was, I think, too big for what we need, and it was too far away from where we needed to be for the type of people that would come to an event like that, But it was a cool spot. It was really cool for us to be able to learn the way that we did. I think we had, again, around 300 campers. I think maybe a couple more, not much. But it was a great number to start off with and to be able to say, okay, now how can we apply this for year two? But I think it was great. There were so many inside jokes made between everybody, many memories. The music was fantastic. We had Voodoo Glow Skulls, The Queers, Blank 77, Public Serpents, Fat Chance played. It was awesome. We had like 25 bands on the lineup or something like that over the 3 days,
23.
4 days. 20, yeah, I don't even know. It's all a blur now. But it was really great. It was kind of, I think, what we needed after kind of going through hell and back with it. Again, there was a time where her and I were this close to pulling the plug on it because we couldn't see a future. We couldn't see anything for it in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Nobody would bat an eye at us, and we found that place, and
he gave us a shot.
He gave us a shot, and we will forever be grateful for that because that was definitely like our stepping stone. Not this actual sacrificial stone that you laid on.
Yeah, and
I wish that was a joke, but it's real.
Not a joke.
It's so weird.
Literally like Stonehenge, and then the center was just.
well, fuck, we saw crosses today.
We did see crosses today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Big, huge community campfires every single night. People just
we burned our fucking.
We did burn our barricades. Like it was so punk rock. It was everything that I think it needed to be for year one. And again, it made planning year two quite a bit easier. And we learned a ton of stuff.
Cool.
Again, like I worked in a restaurant. Terry works in nuclear base. So like we are not the girls that throw events like that, but we are now. And it's cool to see where we were about a year ago and then going on site today and mapping out campsites and vendor booths and things
where
like
the
that.
stage is going to go and our egress. And like, I do have a bit of production. I did work as a television producer, so that's kind of where the most comfy for me was the stage. But that whole other side, and I'm Laura, thank God for Laura, because I don't know if
Likewise.
I'm a little bit more of an introvert between the two of us. You wouldn't know it from this, but
You've hatched.
I've hatched a bit, came out of my shell. But yeah, we fucking bounce off each other. But yeah, like when we were to pull the plug, like the big thing for us, and I remember it clearly, is like we didn't want to disappoint everybody. Everybody had such a shit year. And, we're still having a bit of a shit year, but it's a little less. And we had like, bands that wanted to play, and we had people that paid to watch them. And we're like, it kind of was a no-brainer.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. Like we only had like at the time like 60 people who purchased tickets, but that's still 60 people who gave us their money, and like
60 people that put their trust behind us.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So even if only those 60 people showed up, there's no way that we could have let them down. Like that's just not who we are and what we stand for. So we're like, all right, we're going big for these 60 people. And
we threw down too. Like
we did. It's not cheap. Like we're 100% DIY. We don't have any huge sponsors behind us. Like it's just us, and we thrive off of like people buying our merch and buying tickets, and that's how things get paid for. So it's completely do it yourself. There's nothing huge fueling it except some people who just love the shit out of this.
Yeah, and like that's a big thing for us too, is supporting those DIY bands, because we understand that they're going through the same shit as we are. And, there's that sense of community. There's that sense of camaraderie. I can think of the amount of bands that come on our stage, and I'm like, they're my babies. They're my camp bands. Like, to me, they're family. I talk to a lot of them now, even if they didn't make the lineup this year, we're still really tight. And that's awesome, right? Like, I've made general connections with people, and, if year 3 happens, which it will.
It will. Oh yeah.
I can't wait to see where that leads us to. And like, man, if you discover a smaller band, then you're hooked. I'm so like, there's so many bands I'm excited for people to see. Like that's my excitement's right there for them.
Yeah, that was something big that we wanted to focus on this year, was making sure that there was wow factors all over the lineup, but it wasn't just big, huge bands on Fat Rack or things like that. There's bands. Like look at Froggy out of Philadelphia. Like they're just exploding right now. And I think it's so important to like make sure that those chicks are getting the attention that they deserve. Yeah. Same thing with that band Dissidente.
Oh
like you can't put out a record like that and then not expect people to just like have their faces melt off.
They're putting in the work.
They are putting in the work. And it's so great to see bands like that doing well. And like if we can give them a stage to a couple hundred people or however many people show up, then that's awesome. If we can get a couple people to go over to their merch table after and throw down $40 to $50 on vinyl and some t-shirts to help the band, job done. Yeah.
Now, did the cult have a good time?
I think they did. Dude, homeboy was partying with us with the ponytail.
Yeah, ponytail guy.
Oh my God. Did somebody almost get run over with a golf cart or something?
That may have been by me.
Oh, yeah. Well, that never happened, so.
Never happened. Yeah.
It's like if a bear shits in the wood, you put a stick in it.
A bear did shit in the woods at camp actually, and somebody put their shoe in it. So that happened. It did happen. I think that they had a good time. I think for them it was a big learning curve too. They have a giant EDM festival there every year called Big Dub, which actually looks really cool.
It does.
But
I knew EDM was a cult. I knew it.
Yeah, right. It's just two totally different worlds, and I don't think. Again, it's not where we needed to be. I think we really found home this year being in Scranton. It's just a totally different feeling. Like, you were there today. It was really cool being on site today.
Shivers like all day. Like I was shaking for a lot of it because it was like, I can't believe we're doing this.
Like, when you like move into a new house and you're like, this is my house. Yep. Like, that's what it felt like when we got there today. It was like, oh, we're home. Like we could just take our shoes off and we're home. And it's cool that, the whole team between like the 12 people today. Oh, for next year. Like we haven't even gotten to this year yet. And everybody's already so excited for what we can do there next year. Venue owner included. Yeah. Like
Dave is fantastic.
Godson.
He is the man.
Literally the man. Like he's a precious peach. Yeah.
He is
We got really lucky.
super lucky. Wow. The accommodation, the fact that he sees what we're seeing. And, sometimes it's so hard to share a vision because they're like, well, they kind of see like dollars and cents, especially with business owners.
Sure.
They're seeing, what is this bringing to my cash flow? Dave sees it later on. And that's a big difference with him, is that he's fucking sees our potential. He sees what this is and our vision towards it. And he's like, I'm in, and he'll wake up one morning and be like, holy shit, I'm part of Camp Punksylvania.
How was that first show for you guys? How did you guys go over?
We practiced so hard for it, and we got there and we was like, damn, this is just too natural. It was right. We also played an extra long set, and somebody like passed out during the second.
Yo, I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
20 minutes.
We stopped the whole set. We're just standing up there like, all right.
Yeah.
She did. She
Nobody
went down
can
hard.
fuck up worse than she did. So
It was our only
No
incident.
but no, it was fucking awesome, man.
It was super great.
It was well received. It was well put on. We sounded fucking
Rick
whoever was doing the sound,
is,
solid.
yeah, Rick, our audio guy. We really have to send him a quick shout out.
Yeah,
Matt
seriously.
Audio.
Mwah, Rick.
Nailed it, bud.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Man,
We'll nail it again.
That guy
Shall
is passion. Like, we're passion.
Yeah.
Like and punk is not his thing. He does not listen to punk, but he's passionate about the showmanship of it. He's passionate about the sound of it. Like, that dude went out huge for us. And
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so forever grateful for him. And like, he's a friend for life. Like, I call him Papa Audio because he's just Big Daddy Audio.
That's
because
great.
I'm learning from him too. Like, he runs the boards like a champ, and he had it. We were part of the production team, so it's like my mini family within my big family. And Kyle is now family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kyle's
so
now part
we're
of our
just
production
Mhm.
team.
Extended
we're
family.
just gonna keep growing and hopefully see Camp grow with it. And yeah, but Rick, fuck, man, that dude really, I don't have enough.
Well, that was all we had was the sound. Like, it needed to sound good last year.
Yeah.
And they just knocked it right out of the park. It was so crispy the whole time. And like, you could hear it like over from our little weird cabin and stuff. And it was just nice to be like, wow, this
We're
actually
doing it.
sounds like something I'd pay money for, you know?
No,
Now,
it was great.
The Circle has done all kinds of concerts and stuff like that, but they've never kind of taken on something like this.
We are the first.
How are you guys going to transform a drive-in theater into a camping ground as well as a music festival?
Dave is fantastic. He shared his vision with us. He wanted to branch into something because he sees something. He's got a huge property as well. But we're like, this is kind of what we're thinking. And he's like, this is what I'm thinking. And like, just laid it out. And we're like, this is kind of too good to be true. So Laura went to go and check it out. And man, that dude's exceeded any expectation we had. Like, today was the first day I got to see the site. Laura's been able to go before me. And like, I almost cried because I was like, wow.
It's perfect.
It's really perfect. Everything's so close. Last year, a big issue was the distance. It was just too big
6
for
hours
us.
away.
Yeah. Yeah. It
I
was like a
waited-
6-hour drive down there.
But even within the site, like, I remember I was going to go talk to Laura. I couldn't get a hold of her because there's no cell phone.
I
So I
felt
had
so
to
bad.
walk to
Walk from
registration.
It was like a 2-mile walk.
Yeah, it was crazy. And this is after I set up for 10 hours. And I made it to maybe a little over mile 1. And I'm like, I don't know where I am. Then I see the bear shit. And I'm like, I'm starting to get a little worried. So I called them. I finally got somebody on the phone. I'm like, my walkie-talkie, that's right. I'm like, can you come pick me up? Sure, it only took them 2 minutes. But I was like, this is big. This is like too big. And then like, yeah, I felt bad for campers. Like, they had to walk too. Like, we wanted something that was closer to a scene. We wanted something that was a little bit more compact. And Dave, like, he's got it all. He knows exactly where things are going, and it's set up perfectly for something like this. It kind of like, we gel.
I think the cool thing about it being a drive-in is there, with your normal drive-in, there's so much space, so much flat space, because it's essentially a giant parking lot.
Yeah.
So our thought was to say, okay, how can we take this and turn it into where we can have campers and tents and stuff. But the cool thing about the drive-in is it's so much more than just that plot of a parking lot.
There's a whole other section.
There's a whole other section to it. So we actually have like real woods camping where you can have your fires in the woods and stuff like that.
Circle of Screams.
Yeah, the Circle of Screams is where our Campers Cove actually is. So you go, you set up right in there, and it's really cool because it's still kind of decorated for the Circle of Screams. So yeah, it'll be fun for those drunk campers late at night to walk into zombie land, you know.
Man, those crosses, that clown too.
Oh,
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool, quirky aspects of that place too.
It kind of works from last year too, right?
Yeah, like
cult
it
even
brings
now.
in that cult vibe.
Like a smooth transition.
Yeah. Without the actual cult.
Yeah. I always remember the aerial. That was weird shit.
The birthing mermaid.
It was a doll.
Yeah, that's true. That's
It
true.
was random.
Yeah, we found a lot of weird things in the woods last year.
I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but the cult got to me too. So I've laced all of the parlor.
I was hoping there was something.
He laced it with the
Yeah.
beat that they made.
I knew that butterscotch.
Kool-Aid would have been too obvious. So we went with root beer.
Very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hints of arson.
This has been an evil plan long in the making, so I appreciate that.
Well executed.
Yeah, right?
So it's nice knowing you guys.
This
Cannot
couch
have
is
more.
comfy.
So you guys enjoy camp because we're gonna be dead.
So tell us how you put this whole lineup together. There's 30 bands?
Yeah,
For now.
for now.
For
yeah,
now.
for now. There's 30 bands. Oh my God, for now.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you guys are big music fans. You're listening to this stuff all the time. Obviously, you want to please everybody, and at the same time, it's like you have to cut it down to a reasonable number.
So this year, we try to keep it super fair because this is something, again, very DIY, that there's so many people that have that same mentality. We opened up submissions, I don't know, like a month or two after camp last year.
Yeah.
And we saw over 400 this year. So
We listened
Wow.
to every
we
single
listened
one.
to every single band. Her and I went through and we listened to every single band, and then we narrowed it down to like 50.
Oh, more than that.
And yeah, we narrowed it down to
we
a
had
chunk.
the
And
yes pile, the maybe pile, and then the maybe next year pile.
right. The maybe next year pile. But again, it's just the two of us, and that's not really fair because we like a lot of the same things. We also like a lot of things that are totally different
Yours
than
a
each
little bit,
other. I
yeah.
like a lot of weird stuff, and Terry's into a lot more like that melodic.
Hardcore.
Yeah. But I think that's what works really well, and that was what was really important to us, is to make sure that our team had a say in this too, is because they're all over the place. We have some people who love street punk. We have some who only listen to ska. We have some people who don't listen to punk rock at all, which I thought was important.
Yep.
So having a group of like 12, 13 people, and you say, hey,
This is the list.
tell me what you like in your ears,
Mhm.
what you like out of this. And that's kind of how that came together. And after, we kind of narrowed that down, then it went from, okay, now where are you from? And where are you from? And is it going to be easy for you to get here? And things like that. So it was a huge, huge process, but I think,
I want to say it took us about 2 months.
Yeah.
And that was just the first lineup. It didn't even encompass the rest of it. Like,
Yeah.
we're still working on it.
yeah, that's
Right,
very
like-
true. But thankfully our team was there to kind of give their opinions on everything, because there's so many different subgenres of punk rock, and spread over 3 or 4 days, you need to have a little bit of everything, because there's so many different people who want to come. You may have somebody who loves folk punk, and if we don't have folk punk on our lineup, what do we have for them? Nothing.
Yeah, we kind of really stuck to the bigger subgenres, but still a lot of the smaller ones: folk, pop, ska punk, hardcore.
A little sprinkle of everything
a
in
little
there.
sprinkle of everything. But we also wanted it to be in a way that dude can bring his girl, or girl can bring her guy, and person can bring their person, and they both enjoy it. That was a big focus. Inclusion was definitely at the forefront of everything that we were doing.
Hell yeah. It always is. That's like a huge thing for Riot Squad, is to make sure that we're hitting everybody. Because there's so much talent out there.
So much. It's crazy. Man, I call this like, we're in a huge wave right now, and it's fantastic. And that young talent coming out, I know people love to shit on them, but they shouldn't. They really should not, because these kids do know how to play, and man, they are angry. And a lot of them, some not so much, but definitely, the Riot Girl acts, they are angry. And that just fuels me. Like I will, I have an 11-year-old girl who I would love to bring to camp one year, not anytime soon because I'm working, but to be like, they had a dream too. And this is them on stage. Mommy had a dream. So I'm going to fucking build a stage and just, yeah. I'd like to say camp's the place where dreams are made of. No, feels like this is.
No, it's true though. If we can be even a small stepping stone and get you out to just a couple more people, then our job is done. And that's why we did this whole thing.
Well, it is very a very politically charged year. There's a lot of there's a war on women in this country right now. Like so. I'm sure that probably is going to play into, what some of the bands are talking about. I mean, politics in general is something that is integral to most punk music, I would say. Yeah. So, can people expect those types of things there too, to be able to hear those kinds of things, maybe be encouraged by some of the messages that, some of these bands are putting out there, maybe is there going to be somebody there raising money for Planned Parenthood or something like that, or any of those kinds of things on your minds this year?
Oh yeah. Punk Rock Saves Lives is huge for us. Laura and I very much support mental health and mental health initiatives in the scene. It's not a surprise that we're all slightly a little fucked up, and
they're huge on human rights and equal rights too. So
addiction.
Yeah, that was a group, a nonprofit that hands down needed to be part of this for us. The good that they do is just
insurmountable.
Absolutely. So if we can be a platform for them, or even for people to learn about them and things like that, then so be it. That's awesome. And any way that we can help put their word out, we're going to do it.
We're very much in support of those who want to build this community up. Gatekeeping really doesn't have a place in our scene. We don't believe that we're, unreasonable in wanting to grow our family and wanting to have more friends and people sharing what we're trying to do. So, any group that kind of shares that same ethos helps if they're DIY too, but it doesn't really matter. As long as they're good eggs in the scene, then, they have a place in camp. Absolutely.
And that's I think a challenge too in these days is finding the good people and the good bands and to support and pushing out the people that screw everything up for everybody else. That's such an issue, I think, in general. Not just with punk music, but in any scene really. Yeah. So you guys coming into this to this year, are you approaching it how you did last year? Are you kind of coming into it say I want to do something different this time, or how are you guys coming into this year?
We're changing everything. This is a whole new camp. If you thought you were coming to camp, same camp last year, you're gonna get smacked in the face. This is nothing like last year's camp. Laura and I took huge risks this year through everything, through our production, through what we want to do, to how we wanted to approach this. We really wanted to push the envelope, but also kind of be in a way slightly safe because I can't mortgage my house. But, bands, we wanted everybody who played at camp to get paid. That's a huge focus for Laura and I, is some form of compensation. But we've been so lucky that we've had partners in this that share our vision and are more than willing to help and understand that right now, these first few years are building years and they want to grow with us. They recognize that, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, this can really be something. And if we do it right and execute it, and, we talk to each other all the time. Yesterday, my cell phone provider lost signal and I was completely blackout, which never happens. And I find this little patch in the road, and I'm like, Laura, okay. Like, she's like, holy fuck your life, you know? Like, but we have to have those conversations. We have to be we bounce shit off each other constantly. She has an idea. I'm like, you know, and then she'll bounce something. And she's like, you know, but from that, something beautiful like camp is, to me, is already beautiful. I haven't even seen it yet, and it's beautiful to me, but that's just because I know the shit and the work and the love and the tears. Like, we've cried over this shit.
Yeah, man.
Like, it really is a passion project for us. It's, you know, we want people to experience what we experience when we do this. So I'm gonna start crying again.
Don't cry. Don't cry.
I'm already passionate.
Well, you guys being a band that played last year and you're coming into it this year, I guess, you know, similar kind of question for you guys. Are you, you know, how are you approaching it this year?
I mean, for the most part, it's pretty similarly. We really need to practice and buy merch. But aside from that, mentally preparing for essentially, 2.0 and just expecting at least a little more people.
Yeah, we're definitely already been talking about almost an entirely new set list for it.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Tons of new merch. That's like a big goal for us, is new.
Yeah.
Everything new for this one. And hopefully people like it.
And like Kyle's been there for the talks now versus, you know, where we're taught, like he saw it last year, but he's in the talks now for it this year. And like, I'm sure, like, you know, if it wasn't for you, dude, like that was, you know, I have to put huge props on this cat.
Seriously.
Thank
Don't
you.
know where we would be right now without you.
Yeah. You know, he saw the vision too, and like, fuck, the amount of people that see this vision, it's
Very humbling.
yeah.
Sick.
You're
It's-
fucking sick.
you're
Sick. He's
So looking at this, you know, coming into it today and being able to visualize it a little bit better, do you feel like there's, you know, other challenges that you maybe hadn't foreseen that you might have to go into this year to tackle? Like, I'm sure there's things behind the scenes that people don't realize have to go into this. You know, maybe you could, you know, talk about maybe some of the things that people don't realize you would have to prepare for to put on a festival like this.
It's, you know, it's a lot of the pre-planning. A lot of it was done last year, which was really nice. So you kind of create this, like, I don't want to say like almost like a schedule. We kind of have like our set dates that we want to hit. We want this by certain dates. And in a way, we've kind of done the wheel. So we know what the wheel looks like. But then, you know, sponsorship was definitely a huge challenge for us this year because everybody's coming out of the pandemic. They all broke. So
Yeah, right. Everybody broke.
everybody broke. We broke too, but yeah, they really broke. But also some people's perceptions change, and you know, just there's so many different little things, but they're not huge things that make me want to say like, fuck this, I'm never doing this. Like, they're just okay, just chuck it over my shoulder and just keep pressing on. And I think that's the big thing for Laura and I, is that we just keep pressing on. We are stubborn. We are so stubborn. I can't.
Yeah, I think we've really been through a lot of stuff with this that I think going on site today, at least for me, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders almost, you know, like you're in go mode all the time. It's plan. What are these reports? What are these numbers? What is my to-do list like today? And then you get on site with a group of people that love this just as much as you do, that are bouncing these ideas off you, that are going over your to-do list a different way, trying to make it better. It put me at ease, and it made me realize like, oh, we got this shit in the bag, because we do. I'm fully confident that, like, I think that Scranton is our home now.
Yeah, we love
and I'm really excited to see how things play out in the next couple months for us and what we can do for next year too already.
Well, I feel like too, as somebody who also works with bands on a regular basis, they are, let's say, unpredictable is the easiest way to put it, and not easy to manage in a certain way. So when you're talking about organization and meeting dates and stuff like that, it's like, I don't know if I've ever met a band that can do any of those.
So last year.
So coming from that aspect of it, like essentially, how do you herd cats is really what it comes down
Last
to.
year,
With a golf cart.
last
So
year I
true.
hit. I'm very proud of it. I hit all my times.
You were crushing it last year. That's like hats off to production. Like every band was so smoothly transitioned on and off that stage.
But it's also the understanding that, and I hate to say it, I really hate to say it, but when it comes to production, that's my baby. When it's production, Terry, I'll be your best friend till production Terry takes over. And,
We call that the Canadian hammer.
Yeah, there's actually, yeah. And I don't fuck around, unfortunately, but it's because I've had such an extensive background in production. My commercials didn't give a shit that I went over 5 minutes. They yanked on and they came on, and it's understanding that time has value and making sure that all those bands have all the information well in advance. So they can prepare. Communication, that's the biggest problem in communication is communication. So that's always what I tell myself, make sure that they know everything. And then if they fuck up and cut 5 minutes out of their set, well, that's, too bad for them. My faders will come down, and letting them know that if you're over, you're not going to be over because we're just going to,
Bring out the old hook.
Yeah. And unfortunately, when you're on a show like this, Scranton does have a noise ordinance. We have to be done by a certain time. And it's really to let them know that, unfortunately, I'm not going to fuck around. So I got really lucky that these bands were great to work with. They got it. One band did have their set, but they were cool about it. They knew that they started late and it took from their time. And like maximum exposure, right? You have your 40-minute set. You play it however you want. If you're taking 5 minutes off your set, that's on you, not on me. And the Canadian hammer is just going to bring your faders. Just move them all down.
A punk show that actually starts on time. What?
Yeah. Like
Camp Punksylvania is the only one that I've ever been to.
I had
I'm not
people-
gonna lie. We were like, whoa.
People would come up and be like, you're not working on punk time, are you? And I'm like,
Not a thing.
Not a fucking thing.
Terry doesn't like.
No.
We run on Terry time at Camp Punksylvania. And like communication with the bands is literally the most important thing. And I think we really kicked it up a notch this year. Like we made everything so interactive for them that like they could literally log in and they could check their, if their times have changed. They could leave us notes and things like that. They could let us know if they're coming in a day later or if they have another member of their, it's just, we wanted to make sure, and like interactive stage plots too. So we could go in and say, oh, hey, this is fine, but what if we move your guitar over here? Like it's instant,
Cool.
And that's really important for us to make sure that like if we're talking to these bands for months before the show, it's just extra reassurance that when we actually get here, you have half a brain as to what's going on, and so do we. So that just gives us better chances running on Terry time to where the Canadian hammer doesn't have to come down and ruin your day. Like it just makes things a lot easier. And I also think that the bands respect that too, is when they can look at this and say, hey, any question that we can have about this weekend is right here answered for us. And we're so easily accessible that if it's not in there, you better believe it will be immediately after you ask it, because it's important for us to know what they need to know from us and vice versa. And I think that's what keeps that machine just well-oiled and running. Yeah.
Like bands come up to us after and be like, I've never seen a full band package for a thing. And it's like,
welcome
we
to Camp
have to,
Punksylvania.
and that's the cool thing about Laura and I is that we're not musicians. I do have that very extensive background in production, but Laura also has that very background in business. So like the combination of the two is something wild. Like we can take that together and pump it out and treat it. Yes, we will be your best friends, but Jesus, like
please be on time.
Be on time. Yeah, have your shit together, please. And then we'll be friends right after, But for the 40 minutes that you're playing and setting up, I'm just gonna be an asshole, and I'm sorry, but yeah.
You gotta take it serious.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's our baby at the end of the day too, and we have to make sure that it's growing up in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I do an open mic once a week, and that's more than enough.
Yeah.
Like, just that taste of it is just, just trying to get people on and off stage.
It's just nonstop. Like you're constantly looking for somebody's bass player or for somebody's actual bass. Like
people who said they'd show up at a certain time and they didn't, and then they want to change how their set works.
I think last year we had a band arrive to the middle of nowhere like 7 minutes before their set. One of the bands, and I'm like sweating. Like, what are we gonna do? How is this? But that's the reality of things. Is like this is a band, and that's how they normally operate. So you have to take that into consideration as well. But if we could try and avoid that or minimalize that, we're going to do anything that these two wild brains can think of to make sure that we can do that.
Yeah,
so
if all our T's are crossed and all our I's are dotted, like we feel good at the end of the
we
day.
can say, we are not the problem.
Yeah.
Well, punk shows can kind of happen pretty much anywhere and that sort of thing. So have you guys done a lot of these festival shows before? You two guys in particular, have you done like this type of stuff other than obviously last year?
I mean, you guys have played a couple fests before I was in the band, right?
I remember we played Mad Liberation. I took way too many research chemicals, and I never wanted to do another festival.
Research chemicals.
Other than that, no, I think I repressed every other festival. So it's really nice to play one that's genuinely like what I love being around.
Horror Film Festival. That one was amazing.
That was so
and Banana
solid,
Fan of Faux Fest, which is
Banana.
also right now happening.
Yes, that is also
right
happening
down the
this
street.
I know what we're doing tonight.
Yep.
plans.
But yeah, I think that's about it for us.
It's a handful maybe.
What are some of the better shows that you guys have played over the years?
Ooh.
Your favorite?
Well, we don't play
You
shows.
answer first while I think about this.
What's the best show? Oh my
Yeah, but
god,
which
the
show?
Wonder Bar in Virginia was so solid. We played with Reagan Youth when we went on tour last year, and just did like a 5 or 6 day little stint down the East Coast a bit. And I don't know if it was the performance aspect, just everybody was about it when we were there. And Neil, the former singer now, his little wow thing that he does, everything was just spot on, and it was just really cool to be able to play not in New Jersey or PA. But
I think my favorite show that I've gotten to play with you guys was probably Banana, the first one at the building.
Oh, it made you cry.
Yeah, I wasn't in the band yet, but your drummer didn't show up. And
like an hour and a half.
yeah, and you guys showed up, and by the time you guys got there, I was sitting on the stage naked in a like a pool raft thing with a sombrero.
Yep.
And then he like put a joint in my mouth, and you were just like, "Sean's not coming. You want to drum?" I was like, "Oh."
I can't even stand right now.
I think that was my favorite time playing too.
That was a pretty good one.
New Year's was fun with the Stiffs.
Oh god.
New Year's was beautiful.
It was.
Never forget.
That was like
glorious.
one of those times where like everything is at its most euphoric moment. Like the people,
Literally.
the music, the weirdness going on in the background, just all like peaking at the same time.
Prime.
That to me is like what punk rock is about.
The venue wasn't anything like super.
No, it was a literal dive bar. It was awesome.
We're all individually ridiculous, but
Yeah.
we can make things happen and still chill without conflict. And like, I don't know, it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah. And that's like the whole vibe of camp too, is just
Exactly.
that entire community aspect of everybody's wild and crazy in their own ways, but somehow it's this controlled, like weirdly relaxing environment, you know?
Highly controlled
I was like,
chaos.
I'm so surprised how nice the punk people are. You guys
We're
are
so
nice.
nice.
We are nice.
What
Yeah.
did you expect,
We're
bro?
like, yeah, but you can't.
The cult guys, she said.
The cult of
The
personality.
dragator.
Ponytail.
Ponytail.
Oh, that guy. I talked to him for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, man, he was
Amazing.
all about it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he buys a ticket to this year. He was
He
like
had really-
I
genuinely
want to
happy
see
to be
He
there.
watched every single set.
But that's what's really cool about punk music is people that like have never listened to it or don't really care about it. You know, like I'll take my sister, for example. She came to her first show and she was like, where am I? Like, what is this? And now she's somebody who's like totally immersed in the scene and like working alongside of us with Riot Squad and Camp. And I just think that that's cool is when like somebody can come in from an outside perspective and be like, look at this wild community. And we're just like, hey, welcome. Like, where have you been? You know, it's family through and through. Well, I'm so excited about
So
camp.
excited.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so fucking cool.
It's nice to hear about a community that's thriving, because you get a lot of whether it's just people that I talk to or run into, or you hear on social media, you constantly get like, oh, punk rock is dead, or there isn't punk rock anymore, it died out in the 80s or the 90s or something like that.
Shenanigans.
Those types of people. So what do you say to those types that really don't understand that there is still this thriving punk rock community still going on?
Come out to a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's the only way to get that feeling is if you just go and experience it. Like, that's not something that you can look at on your phone and just be like, oh yeah, this is what that feels like. You need to actually like physically be present, I think, to appreciate that. And I think that's why punk is so different than a lot of other scenes. It's because it's so interactive. Like you have to have it in your face to be able to like absorb it, and then everything else comes naturally on the side. But again, it goes just back to being on that human level with each other. And I think that's what makes it so easily attainable for people and like so easy to fall in love with, is because you instantly feel included.
My best memory is, not seeing a friend all day and then smacking into him outside of a pit and him picking me up and throwing me into the pit. That's like, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
Can we do this all the time? And, it's little tiny things like that at a show that just, it lights something up. I just, it's my Disneyland. I call it camp and punk and everything. It's my Disneyland. I just love it.
Yeah, like even when you get to a show and you're like standing in line in your sweatshirt with your ticket and your ID, like you're like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm here, and like to always have that like rumble in your heart, I think is important. And like as long as punk does that for me, I'll be doing this until it stops.
Yeah.
Where are some of those places that people should go that you found maybe have a thriving music scene, or a really good shows in that particular area, or a venue, or where should people be looking?
I really love Philadelphia right now. I think Philly has a lot of cool shit going on with this younger crowd that is coming up. And like Terry said, they're pissed off and they're making awesome music over it. And it's really cool to see the younger kids coming up. And then all like, This Is Hardcore is going on this weekend in Philly right now. And I think that that's awesome because that's like the perfect best. You have these like young kids going, and then you got these old dudes with like their grandkids showing up, and everybody's enjoying this shit together. And like, I think something like that is important, is when like a scene can grow all together. You don't have people saying, oh, you're punk police. Like you're too young to be doing this. Like there is no such thing as that. So I love Philly for that reason. That's like one of my favorite, like bigger scenes, I think.
I'm Canadian, so I gotta go throw down to Montreal. If you really want a good active melodic scene, especially Montreal really has it. Calgary,
hell yeah.
Calgary's really coming out too. Like the amount of shows I see coming out of Calgary, I'm just like jealous. I'm like, come on, Toronto, I can get your shit together. But
I will give it to Buffalo too. Buffalo's been popping lately, like when the pandemic kind of started to lift a little bit, Buffalo was like, let's do this.
They were ready.
And it's cool. There's so many awesome bands coming in and out of there too that I think is fun to watch. Like it's really cool to see, like, Philly and Buffalo are two totally opposite ends of places, and they have two totally different scenes, but again, it's very much alive. Same thing as it is in Calgary. Like it's very much alive. You just have to find it.
Yeah, Jersey's another one that I always want to bring up because, like, man, the ska that comes out of that is just insane. Pittsburgh has a pretty great scene.
Pittsburgh has a weird scene, but it's so awesome. It is so awesome.
Yeah, like, man, and it's such a huge cross of shit rock and ska.
Shit rock. We're looking at you, Filthy Lowdown.
They all over the map with them, but man, they really bring it. I want to say Steel City Destroyers, which
when you have groups like that, and like look at like New York, like Skid Row, like MC, like people like him, I think are what like make this scene. Like I feel like you need those powerhouses in the scene to keep on fueling things. You need these
yeah.
people that are booking these all ages shows, that are looking at bands from all over the place and of all types of people. I think that's so important. And like, we're very grateful to be working with Skid Row and like Hostile City and Steel City Destroyers on a lot of projects. Like when we go out and do shows, like I said, I don't have a local scene where I'm from, neither does she. So we have to go to these places to do things, and working with groups like that, like hands down, I think that's what it's all about, is when they have that same mentality that we do. Like, it's mostly a passion project. And I know it sounds so cheesy, but we say it all the time. It's like, we really are so much better together.
Yeah.
Like when we're working side by side with these other people.
We got lucky, dude.
Yeah.
What do you
Hell
think?
yeah. What do you think?
Me?
Where do you think?
I'm gonna say Scranton.
Yeah.
Scranton's my
Fuck yeah.
favorite place.
I'm really excited to
Scranton,
see
just-
Scranton in September.
you just wait.
Absolutely, man.
You're gonna love it.
I can't wait.
A huge shout out to Jimmy and the New Brunswick scene.
Truly. If
Now that I
anyone
think
shows
about
up-
what my favorite show was, that
Oh,
was
before
hands down the gnarliest
the coffee
stop
shop
on our
closed,
tour.
right?
Yeah,
43.
Yeah,
New Brunswick goes insane.
Dude, I wanted to do a
Oh,
show there so bad before they closed down. I
Yeah.
was so bummed to
Mhm.
see it shut down because it just looked
Oh,
like everything punk rock should be.
It,
It was awesome.
Shout out Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh, chums.
Sweet Jimmy.
If you find yourself in the Midwest area, stop by Columbus, Ohio to the Stoop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you will absolutely feel and live what punk rock is now. And like,
There's a
Will
skate
they?
ramp in there.
it's so just like, yeah, show up, enjoy yourself, or don't, whatever.
Yeah, or don't. Right.
But if you go, it's gonna be sick.
Yeah, like Columbus is great. Like Punkerton's really coming out
Yeah,
of there.
yeah. Hell yeah.
really
He's
pushing-
crushing it. They just did their Hell is Ohio Fest. And
Yeah.
it's just really cool to see other people like states away, like
yeah.
with the same mentality that we have. And we're like, hey, I see you. And I really think that that's rad.
And bouncing ideas too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Punkerton Brandon's been busting his ass out really hard for that scene. And it's his passion project too. That, you know, and he's in a scene that's not, well, I don't know, cowpunk. Some people do like it, but if I'm gonna ask us all if we all like, oh yeah, see, I'm like, okay, you know,
I just love this
I'll keep it narrow.
Cowpunk, yeah.
Story.
But yeah, that cat's been busting it, and huge props to him. Like I
Yeah,
hear
for sure.
Hell is Ohio.
Kudos, Brando.
Yeah, you did fantastic.
Now, Kyle, you said you had something you wanted to mention on the show in particular. That
yeah.
you wanted to do
We
today.
have cool things in the works.
Okay.
Do you want to do it?
No, you can.
You do it.
So, Fat Chance and Camp Punksylvania are going to do a giveaway for
For you.
you. The giveaway is going to be for 2 weekend passes. We're going to put together a merch bundle.
Yep.
And we're going to give away a $50 gift card to the V Spot.
Ooh.
Nice.
So stay tuned. That'll pop up on our pages very soon. And then August 6th, we're going to do a camp pre-party at the V Spot with Christ Chopper, Cortez, which I know you're probably pretty excited
I'm
about.
very excited.
Hell yeah.
Teen Mortgage and Fat Chance, and the wonderful Ionic Development's going to live stream it, and we're going to announce the winner.
Nice.
Yeah, we're super excited about that. Like these pre-camp parties, we did a bunch of them last year, and they were so much fun. Like you could see people just getting stoked for camp. So you'll be able to buy like discounted camp passes there. Obviously, this whole event will be live streamed, so it's $5 to get in. And like, why would you not want to do that?
Mhm.
Come on.
Why would you not want to party a month before camp happens? You have to come party.
We gotta show you guys what Scranton does.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple shows in Scranton. That was actually the first time I met you guys.
That's right.
Was at the
The
community
food, yeah.
center.
Mhm,
It's just cool. It's a very, again, welcoming scene. I believe I got there and they were making everybody tacos. So I was like,
Shout
wow,
out
you're
Jess
right.
Leone.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah,
fun
shout out to Jess. She's been awesome, especially with the punk rock flea market that she does. She's was one of the
She is a
first
gem.
people that we met in the Scranton scene, actually, and
Yeah.
she's very important. And we've bounced a ton of information and ideas off her, and she's been,
We put
Really?
her on the pedestal.
yeah,
really.
man, she's been great. She's
So much.
awesome.
She's the best.
Yeah.
I think every scene needs a Jess Vioni,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, at least one.
For sure. We've worked with her many times on
Yeah,
that kind of
she's
stuff.
fantastic.
Fantastic. I love that girl.
Yep.
All right. So we should look out for this show at the V Spot. That is coming up Saturday, August 6th. We'll be here before you know it. And then Camp Punksylvania will feature 30 bands, at least 30. They're
At least
apparently
30,
going to
yeah.
be more.
Oh,
On,
I'm not saying anything.
No, yeah, we are. We have more announcements.
That is going to be Friday, September 9th through Sunday, September 11th at the Circle Drive-In in
For
Dickson
now.
City.
For now.
Hint, hint on the 8th. Hint, hint.
Yep.
Now, is there anything else we want to mention before we get out of here?
You know, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who supported this project, you know, and it's still a project. It's not making me any money, so it's not any business just yet. But, you know, a huge thank you. You guys are killing it. You guys are really the driving force as to why we even wake up and try this shit, because without them, we're nothing. We're just Laura and Terry, you know. So, guys, a huge thank you, because you are rad.
Yeah, we love
Rad
you
as
guys.
fuck.
We love you.
I just
Yeah.
want to thank all forces of life that brought us together.
Yeah,
Because-
it's when you meet people and you're like, okay, so this is what life does.
Yep.
I feel like that has happened with a good chunk of us.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's cool to like what, like Kyle joined us this year, and I don't know where we'd be without you. And
Yeah.
like, I can't wait to keep saying that. Like, as more people are like, hey, this is cool. And
Yeah.
I think it's just really fun and humbling to watch it grow and turn into whatever it's doing right
Absolutely.
now.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to the show. I know it was a unusual one. We didn't really make a big announcement of it. I wasn't sure exactly the time we were going to do it or whatever, but I wanted to make sure that we, talk to everybody before you guys go back to quite a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a drive, you know.
Same.
Yeah.
This guy's got to go, what, like 7 minutes down the
7
road?
Put it in neutral and end up in the driveway.
But I appreciate you taking some time out to do this interview.
Thank you
and
so much
Thank
for
you.
having
Absolutely.
us.
Yeah.
And I do want to shout you out too. Thank you again for all of your help on this, and
Putting
for
our
even
stuff out.
thinking that this is cool enough to have us on your couch and give us root beer
Absolutely, of course.
Please.
And
and birch beer.
maybe we'll do it again before
Yeah.
the actual
Love that.
event. So, and we'd love to talk to maybe some of the bands while they're in town.
Yeah,
and
that'd be
stuff, too.
awesome.
So, we'll see what we can do. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll have more articles and stories and stuff too. But maybe some live interviews and stuff as well. So, if you're a punk fan, you should absolutely support what they're doing and buy tickets, because, as they said, this is a DIY thing. This isn't big corporate sponsors or anything like that. Your money isn't going to, some big corporation or whatever. You're going to make stuff like this happen. So if you want to see the music scene thrive around here, you have to support events like this, and you have to support events with your buck and not complain about $5 covers at the fucking bar and shit. Like
Hell yeah.
spend a little extra money, buy these guys merch, all that kind of stuff. It all really goes a long way. But we appreciate you, hanging out with us on this weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. We will see you here Wednesday for our regular broadcast from 7 to 8. So thanks for tuning in.